Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Soaring Through Chaos. And as always, the reason we do this is because this is our opportunity to share. To share during these difficult times, it's not easy. There's the challenge of COVID and Corona, the possibility or the unfortunate scene where any one of us could potentially get affected. And then there are job losses or underemployment getting more severe every day, and the divisiveness, the infighting that's happening because of all this. There's a lot of finger pointing and all that. But amid all this, I run into people or I get to know people who have done good work, who are community builders, who are inspiring people. And it's a joy to talk to them. One of them is Janvi Sonaya. Hey, Janvi, tell us about you.
Hi.
It was so nice meeting you about a year ago, and
Yeah,
really finding out the kind of work you do, and as
yeah.
a journalist. Tell us about how did
Well,
you end
first,
up in these things?
first of all, thank you so much for making me a part of this interview series, Soaring Through Chaos. And talking about myself and my journey. I'll start from a family joke when I was a kid because that defines how my career panned out. Well, as a kid, I used to see my father, like my grandfather, reading a newspaper every morning. And one of the days, like I was just sitting on a chair with a newspaper, and my mother said that, "What are you doing?" And I said that I'm reading a newspaper because that's the image I had in my mind. That reading a newspaper means just sitting before a newspaper. That I was really young to even read. So everyone started laughing, saying that you don't even know to read, and this is how you think that grandpa is reading a newspaper. So that's when I thought that I don't understand how newspaper works, or how do people read it, or why do people so much spend why do so many people spend time in the morning reading a paper. And I guess that stuck with me even till date. I mean, I'm just fascinated by how the media works, and I always wanted to work in print media, and back then didn't have any starting point or to ending point. Like, how do you reach? Because I was in Kambalia, and there was no way I was allowed to even study journalism. But yeah, I
Oh,
think that,
wow.
yeah, I remember, like, I wanted to study journalism, and I went to Vidyanagar with my father. I went to Ahmedabad NIMCJ college with my mother. But in NIMCJ college, the tutors were so discouraging, saying that I don't think you will be able to do it because students have to undergo training in radio, in print, in electronic, every channel. And she didn't see that sort of confidence in me. And so I had to take admission in a management college. So yeah, but it all just panned out eventually.
So you wanted to do journalism, ended up starting
Yeah,
with management, and then
yeah.
now you are in that profession. What I find
See,
interesting is that the kind of work you do, a lot of people
yeah.
do it because it's their job, but for you, it
Hmm.
seems to be a passion. Is that true?
Definitely. I mean, this is a thing I would do on a working day, and this is a thing I would do on a weekend because my job primarily involves just talking to people, finding their stories, and giving them a space so that more people can read it. I don't write politics, I don't write crime. What I write is something what people don't call hardcore journalism, but I think that today we need it more than ever, which is the features writing, where we go in depth of a topic, where we just don't go by what we see on the surface. I mean, there's so much need to dive deep into a person's story, into a non-living thing's story. So
Very
yeah, I
true.
definitely love this.
Very true. In fact, one reason why I'm even doing this series is because
Hmm.
we have this 30-second elevator pitch about people's lives. And that
Yeah,
is, how
yeah,
can you go deep in that? So there's no time
yeah,
limit. You can talk as long as you
yeah.
want and tell us your story. So
Yeah.
that's great. So as a little child, you're inspired by watching your grandpa reading the news and
Read a
something
newspaper.
important that is an important ritual of the day. So,
Yeah.
tell me more about how your work is changing, given first the
Yeah.
media. and the pandemic? Has it changed or is it the same as before?
So initially during April and May, specifically those 2 months when I was alone in my apartment, and there was less of work because as a media group, even we were struggling and trying to find out what's happening. Print media didn't have ads. And the media industry was like changing. There were societies who said that we will not allow newspapers. So again, the circulation got a hit. So it was a difficult time. We were even wondering whether to carry on with certain supplements or to just cut down on them. So yeah, those 2 months or 2.5 months did take a toll on me, did take a toll on everyone who was in the media sector, especially print media, because everyone was going digital. Like I would want to read my newspaper digital than to have a hard copy. So yeah, things were misplaced in those 2-3 months, but now things are coming back to track because I can talk about Ahmedabad. Like Ahmedabad is back to work in full swing, and even the circulations are getting back on track. There were major payoffs, layoffs. I mean, वो सब वापस track पे आ रहा है. So I think it changed, but I think you evolve, you adapt. That's how you work as an organization or a human being if you want to continue. And I think that media industry is definitely doing that. And even the advertisements are back. So it's not that businesses have given up hope. Ki now there are no business, so we shouldn't invest in ads. I think people are really hopeful.
So it's back to being sustainable as it was before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you have any memorable, I mean, among hundreds of features you must have done, are there any that stand out for you? Are there any that like, wow, I'm so glad I did this?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many because that's how the day in and day out are. But yeah, I'll tell you about, there is an artist called Nabibaksh Mansuri. He's a painter. So I interview painters, musicians, dancers, and I'm not a painter. So this artist give me a glimpse of what was in their mind when they were creating this art. So Nabibaksh Mansuri, to just give you an idea of what he does is, like if you go inside a gallery, he would have 4 paintings on each walls, like massive life-size paintings, and he would send it in like say 90 lakhs a painting, and you sell 4 paintings and you're sorted for a year. So that's how this artist works. And then he just tells me about the minute details of how his childhood is reflecting in a particular art form, or how the grudges he has are reflecting in the artwork. And he'll just pinpoint me that this was the time when, I felt this, and this is when I felt that. So this whole experience, so I'm not just saying about this particular incident, but just telling you that this is how, this is the most beautiful part of the job, to just know the creative process of an artist, because they are very moody. Many a times they take me to the studio to actually show me where the work happens. Another time I was interviewing an artist called Amit Ambalal. He's a very senior artist, a businessman who left his office and job at the age of 30 and chose to be a full-time painter, like post 30. So even his journey is very inspiring, and have the journey of career change.
So let's have a look at some of your work. It'll be fun.
Yeah, please.
Looks like one of your articles, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. So Home to History, I gave this title because Amit Ambalal, who is an artist, he's a very known artist. He's known for mostly painting monkeys, like they are his like signature style. And you can see this picture, which is a very beautiful place he has inside his house, which is full of pitchwais. I'm not sure how many of you know about pitchwai. It is an artwork and also has a lot of religious reference. All those people who follow Pushti Marg, they would know of what pitchwais are. They are like a backdrop which you keep behind the idol of Lord Srinathji. And he has a whole collection of old ancient pitchwais from 16th century to even before that. And these are really valuable pieces of artwork collected through the ages. And Amit Ambalal, the artist, has preserved every pitchwai in a place like which is as beautiful as this. So yeah, I wrote in detail about its history and why he's so passionate about collecting pitchwais.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's really fascinating. Here's
yeah,
another picture of this.
yeah. This is another picture of, yeah. So
So
there's
great.
also
And
yeah, I mean, to all those people who are listening, I'll just say that this is also open for visiting. Like if you want to visit this place, anyone who is interested in art can book an appointment and just visit this place. He would be happy to take you around his house called Sumeru.
should we look at any other of your articles?
Um,
Wow, I see a Manu of many arts. Tell us more about this Manu
yes.
of many arts.
So he is an artist. He's a very senior artist based in Mumbai, and he was in Ahmedabad for his exhibition. It was a solo exhibition, and I interviewed him, where he told me about his art. But the most important and interesting part of the interview was that he was talking about his relationship with his wife. So when he got married, his wife was not an artist, but he wanted to teach her, his wife, like some art. Ki, matlab, how does this work? How do you paint? How do you create art? And he actually started teaching her, like giving her insights of the art world. And you won't believe today, his wife is a bigger artist than him. And
Wow.
he isn't afraid to stand next to a woman who is inspiring or who earns more than him or who has a bigger name in the art world than him. So I think that that's what I call a true feminist. I mean, you just believe in giving each other so much respect. So I just love that equation. I mean,
Wow, wow, that's really amazing. And he has a Padma Shri and all that. And
yeah, he's a Padma Shri. Yeah. I think
and
to be humble and to just also make your partner grow along with you. You don't just look at your own success. I think that makes you a very good human being. And these are the things, finer things which don't become a part of the article. These are the stories which remain with me and make me a better person. I
hmm.
think that's why I love my job.
So that brings me to a very interesting question. Often
Hmm.
when we start getting into a profession, we want to learn
Hmm.
all about it and go deep, which you did. But then the
Hmm.
profession changes us. So in what ways
Yeah.
have you become a better person? What changes have you seen in yourself as you got deep into this kind of work, into features and journalism?
Well, my first like regular job was in DNA newspaper, and when I joined DNA newspaper, I had this picture in my mind about my last day in the office. Some logo ka last day hota hai, you get a farewell and all of that, and I just thought that I'll get married, and in my farewell speech, I'll just say that today I'm getting married, and so that now there's no need of the job. This was the idea of my life I had when I started my career in
Wow.
DNA newspaper. And then I think the job, what to say, it broadened my worldview that the world is much bigger than what I think it is. It gave me a chance to meet people who I wouldn't have met if I was not a journalist, be it actors or be it artists or be it people who conserve heritage. I think it just gave me an idea कि oh ऐसा भी job होता है. Like one of the times I interviewed a museumologist, like someone who has done like PhD and studied extensively about museums, and it was just interesting to see that someone does that. So yeah, I think in another way it has changed me apart from increasing, like broadening my worldview, is that it has made me more curious, because the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. So yeah, it always keeps you on the go of learning more, and in the process, yeah, you become a better person.
Okay, you start.
Uh, Uh, well, to just talk about the picture, I mean, I'm not sure many of you would recognize that this is Vicky Kaushal, the actor behind How's the Josh. I mean, he came to DNA office during Masan's promotion, and this was his first movie. And we didn't even realize what the potential of this guy was. So he was also ignored during the interview, but now we are just amazed at how his career has panned out. He's the son of a stunt artist, and yeah, so these are my initial interviews. I majorly started from interviewing movie actors, celebrities, and eventually I started interviewing lawyers and doctors, and realized they are the biggest celebrities. But yeah, these are the pictures from the very initial days of my career.
Really nice. Wow.
Yeah.
And now who's this, Janvi?
So he is Swami Dandapani. He is known internationally. He's from US, and he is a Hindu saint, as you can see. And he came to Ahmedabad for one of the EO meet. EO is Entrepreneurs Organization. Again, that's an international organization. And he had a session there, and that's post it, I interviewed him, and I realized that more than a saint, he was also a businessman. And like I'm saying this in a very positive note on how he talked about how he has to travel, or how he has to make a name for himself and make contacts in a way that also helps him grow. So I got to know a very different side of a very professional side of a saint, who is very practical, who is not just talking about meditation and yoga. And yeah, this was a very memorable interview that I had with him, Dandapani. I'll again just say the name, just in case if you want to Google and see who is.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And who's this, Janvi?
This is Sonam Kapoor. And I'll tell you, this was the first celebrity interview that I'd ever taken in my life. And like as someone who comes from Jamkhambaliya, or even general anyone, like would be fascinated by celebrities. And this was the first time I was getting to just sit with someone and to just know more about how they are like us. There is no difference apart from the fact that there is so much vanity about them. This was the time I was working for Desh Gujarat. Desh Gujarat is a news portal. It's a local news portal. And this is the time when I saw that there were so many reporters, from Times Group, who were getting a chance to take a personal interview with her, while I was given like, कि तुम बाद में आना, like you come on the third or fourth, on the fourth in line. That's when I thought that if they can work with the Times Group, why can't I? And that's when I decided that I'll really work hard to work with an organization that I think I deserve in life. So this was a very life-changing moment, and this will always be special, because this was the first interview. This was the first celebrity interview that I took when I came to Ahmedabad, and this must be around 6 years ago. Sonam Kapoor was in the city for the promotion of Dolly Ki Dolly. I mean, the film flopped, but this was a very memorable interview for all the journalists who are here.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, Janvi, this is so interesting that you get to meet all kinds of interesting people. And I have a friend, he goes by the name Dr. PPP, who he also grew up in rural Gujarat, I think in the Mehsana area. And Praveen Bhai Praladji Patel is in Canada now, and he ended up in the Guinness Book of World Records interviewing celebrities of all kinds. Something very interesting.
Very interesting.
And he says his life changed. He's now writing about find the celebrity within. How do you find the celebrity within you? And sounds like a very interesting. That something like that happened to you as you met all these famous people, as you met all these great artists. In what ways did it shift you? You mentioned that it broadened your horizons, but were there any specific changes you noticed in your confidence and in other things?
Yes. So initially I used to get intimidated, in the sense like you put someone here and you consider yourself here. And you're not sure about yourself, in the sense like, am I saying the right things? Am I asking the right questions? What if I come across as a silly person? Or what if I don't know much? I think these are all the insecurities we have as a person, and especially if you are an interviewer who has to hold the conversation. So I had all such problems with me just because I was interviewing people who are followed by millions of people who have done something great in life. But I think eventually I realized that just because I'm interviewing someone who has a beautiful journey doesn't mean that I disrespect my own capabilities, I disrespect my own journey. I think in that process, I started taking myself more seriously, having more confidence in what I know, and just being clear about that. Because if I'm interviewing an artist or if I'm interviewing a celebrity, and if I act like a fan, then the interview is not happening. The selfie is happening for sure. So this was a journey. This can't be taught in a journalism school. I think this is a whole process. It takes time and it takes years to not act like a fan, to not act like a fangirl, but to talk like an interviewer so that more things can come out of a person, so that you can ask more important questions than just saying that, why did you sign this movie or how did you prepare for it? So that you can just go into the nuances of an artwork, or you can get nuances, you can get into nuances of a thing rather than just coming up with a shallow interview which every other publication is publishing. So yeah, I just understood to just respect myself a little more through this process.
Very true, very true. In fact, I've had the fortune of meeting so-called very famous people. And in this series, I'm not interviewing many of them because they're already known. But it's
Yeah.
interesting what you just said, which is that every single human being, every single living being has a story to tell. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to understand the challenges that you went through, because on the surface, journalism, interviewing celebrities sounds
Yeah.
so fascinating. But were there times when you were like, oh no, this is not what I want to do, and then you grow through that? Did you have those moments as well?
Um, Today, retrospectively, when I look back, they may look like challenges, but when I was going through that phase, it didn't look like a challenge. It just looked like a jigsaw puzzle. And I think your early 20s does that to you, or when you have nothing to lose. Like when I was starting my career, कुछ था ही नहीं, मतलब which you feel like, I would just, you don't have that sort of money, that sort of reputation. So you are a risk taker. And I'll tell you, back then I think I was in 11th or 12th standard, and I was not so tech savvy, didn't have a laptop. So I used to send a letter. I used to write my articles and I used to write my poems in a letter and send it to the Times of India office in Rajkot. I was in Rajkot back then. So I used to go put it in a letter box. I mean, there must be so many kids who might not have ever used it, like to just post a letter. So I used to do all of that, and surprisingly, those things also used to get published in the Rajkot edition of Times of India, and that was in like 11th or 12th standard.
Wow,
So
wow.
yeah, it all just started that way, and I had a tough time in just approaching publications in Rajkot, saying that I don't know, I've not studied journalism, but I want to work. And you wouldn't be surprised to know that I worked for a year for a publication called Rajkot Now, and I wasn't paid a single money for that.
Wow.
And
And
I
how did
still
you
work
sustain
because
yourself? So it was like an unpaid
uh,
internship.
yeah, and sometimes people don't expect much from you, especially if you are a girl. That's so unfortunate. But the bar of expectation is so low that even if you do like some things and just get a job, I mean, that's a big deal for people around, because they're not expecting that. So I mean, money was not an issue back then, because you are a student and your family is taking care of you. I was just in 12th standard. So yeah, I could work through that whole year and learn about journalism. I think I really thank that office who just taught me how to write an article. So I think that
Wow.
was the whole process, and I had a different set of challenges when I came to Ahmedabad, because after my graduation, I got job in TCS Baroda. I was working in TCS, And I realized that this is not something I would want to do for a living. I left it. I started doing MBA in Ahmedabad. And I eventually, that was the time when I got a job offer from DNA newspaper. And that's how my career started.
Very
I mean, there were so
interesting.
many ups and downs, but I don't look at them as challenges. I think that was a part of journey. And if that would not have taken place, I would not have been the person that I am today. So, yeah.
So now, again, at each stage of your life, you have so many choices. On one side, there's a business side of you with an MBA degree and all that. On the other side is the curious person who wants to learn about
Yeah.
new things. And then that makes you, in your current career, it gives you the opportunity to keep learning. What next? Where do you
Yeah.
see yourself going? Do you see yourself gravitating more towards more stories, learning from people? Or do you see yourself getting into some kind of a business? Where do you see yourself going?
No, I don't think that I have this business acumen in me. I don't think I can ever run a business. I don't see the trait in me. I can just see myself writing more. I can just see myself doing more interviews. Uh, and yeah, I would want to work with an international publication. I think that's the end game. That's where I see myself, because still I see that my worldview has broadened, but I would want to do more to still surprise myself by saying that, yeah, the world is big, but there is still something beyond this horizon. Uh, so yeah, I would want to continue with what I'm doing, but in a broader way, in a broader sense. So I've also started my own interview series where I talk to people. I talk to journalists from, say, Afghanistan, or I interview a cuddler from a professional cuddler from California. So I'm doing to do features reporting, and all thanks to COVID that I got this chance to get a deep dive into people's lives, but I can pick and choose, because here I don't have a publication to cater to. I can just go through my own choices and my own conviction on who has a very interesting story to share. So that's a very interesting thing that's going on in my life, that I'm just connecting to people across the globe. Yeah.
I noticed that, and you began during the lockdown, right? And you started sharing it on social
Yeah.
media. Is that correct?
No. I was just saying that I was in Khambhalia and I had to keep myself sane. So, yeah, that's why I did that.
So that's part of your sanity program, sanitization. So there's
Yeah.
sanitization of the body and there's sanitization of the mind. So that's lovely.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed is that there are many like you who are working for a professional publication like you are right now.
Huh.
And on the other hand, there's a hobby, which is also similar, which is a curiosity to meet people, learn from
Yeah.
them, have opinions about
Yeah.
different topics. And
Huh.
social media is a great. Instagram and Facebook are now more commonly used as a channel. Do they complement each other, or in your case, do you see them as a conflict when you're writing on your own versus writing with the publication? How is the interplay between those two for you?
Um, I think that my work with the publication has given me the base. It has taught me the rules of the game. And when I do interviews on my own, I get a chance to break those rules and just do what I want to do. And I think both are equally necessary, because you can break the rules only when you know them. Like when I'm interviewing someone on Instagram, uh, there are less things at stake. But when I'm writing an article for, say, Divya Bhaskar, I know lakhs of people are going to read it. Their subscription is around 9 lakhs or something, and so I know that a single word of mine here or there would impact a lot of people. Bhaskar is read by a chai wala to a rickshaw wala, and I know the impact it has, which my Instagram live would not have. So yeah, I mean, these are two completely different things, but if you see in a way, they complement each other, because it is, as a person, it is important for me to experience both of them and then to decide for myself what I want to continue with. So yeah, I respect both of them. It has a different audience, it has a different charm, and both have their own very strong base. So
So
yeah.
to use marketing jargon, completely different psychographics and market segments. Very interesting.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
is for the
completely
masses,
true, true.
which will go to
Yeah,
9 lakh people around the
yeah,
state, around the city.
yeah.
And the other one is more the Instagram crowd, which
More
is,
very niche. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, your friends and your followers who are
Hmm.
with similar interests and similar values. And therefore, it
Yeah.
gets more narrowly defined. So,
True,
very
true, true.
interesting. You're the second journalist I'm talking to like this, and I had no
Hmm.
idea of what it's like to be in the mind of a journalist. And I'm grateful
Yeah.
that I'm getting that chance to understand how journalists live their
Oh,
lives.
thank you.
Do you get followed when you are doing all these interviews? Are there other people following you to track your life and talk about that? Or does that ever
Uh,
happen?
that happens. Well, there was a time, or I mean, I still do that. Apart from being a journalist, I also see myself as a model. And for some people, that doesn't just fit. Ki, matlab, you can be a journalist and you can also be a model. Like you can be an actor and you can also be a businessman. That is okay. But here, if you are a journalist, you are expected to look in a certain way, you are expected to behave in a certain way, you are expected to have an opinion on every issue that's coming out. But if you explore your feminine side, or if you explore anything which is not expected from you, then it really pinches people. And just because I did a lot of modeling, it was and is a very important part of my life. So yeah, I am interviewed a couple of times for that side of mine, and yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Maybe we should have talked about that. Is there anything you would like to
Uh,
share from your modeling work? Is there any pictures or
uh,
any? Is there
yes,
something
I
that you would
can.
like to share?
Okay, let me see what I can share.
Now, who's this person?
Okay, like this are the initial pictures. I think this picture was taken 3 years back. 3 years back. Like my best friend wanted to start her career in as a stylist. A stylist is a person who is different from a fashion designer. Like a stylist is someone who will tell you what to wear with what. She wanted to model and she didn't get one like who would work for free, and that's when she picked me up saying that I'll dress you up. So yeah, these are the initial pictures from the modeling assignment, and I got hooked to it after those initial shoots.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. Very interesting. Wow.
Uh,
And so, yeah, you mentioned the difficulty of the stereotyping. Some people see you as a journalist, and therefore there are many things you cannot do. But you said you'll explore both sides of you. And
hmm.
again, that's really amazing. I went to something similar. I was CEO of companies and like an executive, and then I wanted to
Oh,
dance. And even in America,
oh,
a lot of people saw me as an electronic design executive. How can you be dancing in public? So for 10
hmm.
years, I was like a closet dancer. And then I said, okay, Facebook is for dance and or poetry, and LinkedIn is for my
Yeah.
professional work. And then at some point, I merged the two together, and that was Nirvana. To be able to
Ah,
speak on both and cross the channels. And not everybody who is
yeah.
interested in dance is interested in electronics, or vice versa. But I am me, and I'm not like one closet here and one closet there. Did you go through that? Are you able to now bring together the two sides of you?
Look, I've not cared much about what people in my profession would think about my modeling. I didn't give like so much of importance to people. It's just that when my family thought that I'm overdoing it, I considered it that whether I should, whether I shouldn't. Because for me, my especially my mom's opinions matter to me a lot. I don't want to hurt her. Uh, but apart from my mom and dad, I don't think I've given considered anyone's opinion. Yeah, and I am lucky that I had a female boss, and who understood that it's my individuality. This is how I differentiate myself from people, and there is no point if a profession suppresses your individuality. That is so wrong. So yeah, I mean, I had the liberty, and uh, yeah, I just didn't care much.
That's good. That's good. And right now, as you know, we are in the midst of a very interesting time. A lot of anxiety out there, especially among young people
Yeah.
who are in mid
Hmm.
early stages of their career. A lot of
Huh.
confusion on what to do. Yeah, of course, I'm not expecting you to give a formula or a mantra, but what would you suggest, or how have you been able to support others? You look like you're so busy. I don't see any slowdown in you. You are able to find your sanitizer in
Yeah.
interviewing people and so on.
Yeah.
What would you suggest to other people or your friends? How should they approach their career at this time?
Approach their career. I think that I wouldn't advise something for their professional well-being. I can just say that how can they keep themselves more sane, and for that, what I do, what I have been doing for like say a decade of my life is journal writing. I think there are so many things that go on inside our head, and I just pour it all inside a journal. I write a diary every single day. This might seem like a very small thing, but it has a huge impact in just liberating. It can work as a catharsis. If you're sorted here, you will be sorted in your professional life. And I think that the base should be taken care of. So I think that journal writing is one of them. And the second thing I do is to just identify who my loved ones are, who my well-wishers are, and to be just connect. I just connect to them on day-to-day basis. I surround myself with all those people. I think that is very important because these people are not concerned with your designation. They are not with me because I'm a journalist. They are with me because they've seen me fail. They've seen me doing the stupidest of things, and still they are where they are. So I think that we are social beings, and there can be times, especially during COVID, when we just get aloof. We forget what a touch looked like. We forget what the sense of being comfortable with someone look like. But I think that we can resume it in our own ways. So yeah, just staying connected with your loved ones, and writing a journal, or just doing an activity which you like. For me, hula hoop is the thing which I really love. So yeah, I think uh,
Do you have one right now?
just
Do you have a hula
yeah,
hoop right there?
yeah.
Would you like to show us how you do it?
Yeah.
That'll be so.
Is this visible?
Yeah, yeah. Shadow. Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I do. I'm not sure if you can see.
Wow, a journalist who is also into the hula. That's so nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do this for at least 15-20 minutes a day. And yeah, this is my cardio. This keeps me healthy. I hope it doesn't sound funny.
It's really nice. It's really cathartic. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's effortless. It's like riding a bicycle. Like I just know it, and yeah, I just do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, Janvi,
Okay.
so nice. What you just said to me rings true for me as well. Everybody, gives that, what do you call it? The clean, nice persona, like in your case, is that of a journalist. To be able to see you as a full human being who's interested in modeling, who does the hula, who goes and reconnects with family. That's the real you. And I'm no professional journalist, but I'm always curious about how people maintain, how makes people make sense out of their life. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing all that with us. And thank you for
Oh,
being truly human and not just that the people that we see in the news media or the people that read in, even social media has become like that, right? Curated stuff,
yeah.
curated content.
True.
Thank you for showing us much more than just curated content on you.
And thank you for conducting an interview where I did all the unexpected things, because these are not the things which I would usually do in an interview.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
This is not your standardized interview.
Regular.
But
Yeah.
who is like the way I ask myself the question is, who in the world is Janvi Sulaiya? And what is she really like? Besides what I know about her from that, very short window of life, who is she really? And that's so nice that you shared with us so much more.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
such a wonderful thing that you were able to share so many things with us, Janvi. And to all those who are viewing, yes, it is funny to really see the lighter moments in people's lives, to be able to see them as really human. And if you are interested in revealing yourself, many of you I know personally because it goes to my blog or to my shared connections. But if there's another human side that people don't know, please come and share with me. It'll be so much fun to talk to you. And again, Janvi, thank you for being with us. And thank you for sharing some glimpses from your life.
Uh,
And may you continue to hula, may you continue to model, may you continue to be a journalist and all that you can be.
oh, thank you so much.